What's going on, y'all? Fort Worth Fabian. We are back with a video. So we have storms hitting parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and other parts within, I would want to say, central southern region, if not, right? So we have massive winter storm begins threatening catastrophic ice and snow. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know y'all's thoughts on this in the comment section below. We're just going to go ahead and hop right into the video, man. Subscribe to the channel.
Parts of Texas and Oklahoma.
Well, dang. Maybe I should share the screen with y'all. How about that?
Parts of Texas and Oklahoma are starting to get sleet and snow, with people there taking the first hit of what's expected to build into a monster of a storm that is going to sweep all the way to New England. So far, more than 7,000 flights in the United States have been canceled throughout the weekend so far. Of course, we expect that number to only grow. And forecasters are warning that beyond the heavy snow and the crippling cold, the accumulation of ice could snap power lines, bring down trees, slicken roads, with state leaders issuing warnings like this.
This is going to be a catastrophic winter storm that's going to cause us to lose power.
Make sure you got the things that you need at your house to stay warm and hunker down.
Our plea to the people of this state is, if you can, stay off the roads.
Once the snow begins to fall, I want to encourage New Yorkers to do something that we don't often have the luxury of doing, which is to take a breath and stay home.
Within about 48 hours, everybody's talking about Greenland. Within about 48 hours, Connecticut's going to look like Greenland.
Already, many people are
crazy work, right? So there's a few years ago in Texas that this blizzard, and I want to say that it was consecutive years. Possibly 4 to 5 years ago, and then there was one prior to that. So there was like 2 ice storms that hit. You had to stay inside. Everything froze over. I even want to say, like, if I recall correctly, my sliding door at my apartment literally got froze over. Imagine, your sliding glass door, right? When you wake up, it literally looks like just like an ice window. So that's what happened with me specifically. But yeah, being from Texas, we've seen these consecutive cold fronts hit through, and then we're snowed in for a few days, right? And then as she's about to allude to, everybody ravishes, the grocery stores. They just go and ransack everything. So, hey, let's go ahead and get into it.
Taking those warnings, including about Greenland there, to heart. They're taking grocery store shelves. They are completely clean based off half the videos we're seeing. I'm joined tonight by CNN's Ed Lavandera, who is in Dallas. And Ed, obviously we heard from Governor right there. He's warning, saying you're going to lose power. I know a lot of Texans have that 2021 storm on their mind where they didn't have power or heat for days.
There it is.
What's it looking like tonight so far? And do they feel like they're ready for what's going to happen?
And I was blessed enough to have my power and my heat in my apartment. Whereas everybody around me in all these other counties, if not other cities within the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, lost power. I lived in some middle-class, rinky-dink apartment complex. Lo and behold, this complex doesn't lose power, right? People I know living in these fancy Dallas high-rises, these new establishments, power grid, completely decimated, so to speak. So think about that, man. It was funny. It was funny to me how I live in such a simple place and they were able to maintain all the necessities. But everybody in these nice, lavish places, everything was just destroyed. Goes to show everything isn't what it looks or what it seems.
Well, the governor and the officials that run the power grid here in Texas insist that this power grid is ready and capable of withstanding the high demand that we're going to see over the next 72 hours. But that does not take into account the fact that, with the ice that is expected across much of North Texas and into East Texas as well, that could cause power lines to come down, trees to collapse, that sort of thing, which could leave hundreds of thousands of people without power. So that is one of those big areas of concern that we're seeing right now. And Caitlin, just here in the last couple of hours, really seeing those temperatures starting to plunge toward that freezing mark. We are expected to hit that mark here in the next couple of hours. And once that happens, temperatures here will not go above freezing until early next week. So the rainfall that has come down, that already has many of the roadways in this part of the country slick, will ice over. And in Oklahoma, where they're expecting to see record snowfall, between where I am and the Texas-Oklahoma border, you're going to see this line where that snow becomes ice and sleet where I'm at. and that is going to cause treacherous conditions on the roadways and really threatening a lot of the infrastructure up and down the roadways and across this region. So that is what emergency officials say that they're the most concerned about tonight.
Yeah, I could see why. At Lavendera, you stay safe. We're going to keep checking in with you as that storm is making its way through Texas. I'm also joined tonight by our top forecasters. We've got Chris Warren, our meteorologist over at the CNN Weather Center, Harry Enton, who is our chief data analyst. And Chris, I think that's the big question, as you know, people have been keeping an eye on this forecast, is what is the latest that we're seeing so far?
Well, this is a massive storm, Caitlin. Just to put this into perspective here, the winter storm warnings are in pink. That means hazardous weather is expected. It's either happening or it's expected. And those winter storm warnings cover half of our United States. When you look at all of the alerts here, the ice storm warnings, the advisories, the watches, that's half of the population of the United States threatened by some form of winter weather. This is what's happening right now where Ed is. It is rain, but that colder air is dropping down. Purple is snow, and then pink is the ice. And when the ice starts to accrete or accumulate on objects, it's going to be dangerous to walk, to drive, and eventually power is going to go out. Here's the snow. A foot or more of snow here from Oklahoma all the way up to New England. Here's how it plays out. For the rest of this evening, ice increases in Texas, in Oklahoma, spreading across the rest of the South, into the mid-Atlantic by tomorrow evening. And then the next push goes here. Really, the meat of the system starts to move through Texas overnight, Saturday into Sunday. It all kind of comes together with big-time snow from the Midwest to the Northeast. And even some thunderstorms possible on Sunday in the South. The snowfall we're expecting in Oklahoma, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, a foot to a foot and a half. Also, big-time snowfall totals here, Caitlin, in the Northeast. Some areas could also see a foot to a foot and a half, but it's this ice. Again, with power going out, possibly lasting for days with extreme cold.
Oh, that's crazy work.
Yeah. All right, Chris, we'll keep checking back in with you. And Harry, you know, when you look at this, what I keep reading when I'm like looking at everything about the storm and what it's going to look like, I keep hearing records, snowfalls that have not been seen.
Power going out.
Interesting enough, right? We're seeing the storm travel this direction up into the Northeast. We're completely bypassing like part of Mississippi, if not. But we're over here, you know, chilling in Florida. You know, chilling over here, cooling it in Florida. And certain parts of Georgia aren't going to be hit, right? But you know, completely out of the storm's way. Thank you.
Possibly last.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
And when I'm like looking at everything about the storm and what it's going to look like, I keep hearing records, snowfalls that have not been seen, all of these numbers. What do you make of what they're predicting so far?
You know, I'll just tell you, as a New York City guy who really loves the snow, I am snow-starved. I am snow-starved, Caitlin Collins.
It just snowed like 2 weeks ago.
We have not gotten 6 inches or more since early in 2022. I mean, just take a look at the snows since February of 2022, and what are we talking about? I mean, just look at here. 4.3 is the highest we have had since February of 2022. And so now finally, you know, we get this winter storm warning for 10 to 14 inches in effect. Hopefully we reach that mark. But it's, you know, I just don't want to stay in New York City. I want to sort of broaden it out. You know, go all the way down to Arkansas. Go to Fayetteville, Arkansas. My dear friend Neil Payne lives there. Look, at this point, there's a winter storm warning there. I think that they could get the biggest snowstorm in Fayetteville, Arkansas in the last decade. It has to be 9.4 inches. I think they may very well do it.
Okay, 9.4 inches, that's a lot.
That's
and
crazy
when it comes to, you know, what we're looking at today, I saw the president was flying back. He flew back last night. Today he was looking, obviously, at the forecast himself, and he was saying that he's been briefed on this, rarely seen anything like it. What happened to climate change and global warming? I mean, how do people feel about what's about to happen and the concerns?
Yeah, the president has, you know, his social media post up there, and it's not the first time, you know, he has mocked the idea of global warming when, you know, there's cold weather about. But I've actually went through the record books. I looked through
What
the
did he say?
Of global
Record cold wave expected to hit 40 states. Rarely seen anything like it before. Could the environmental insurrectionists please explain whatever happened to global warming? Wasn't he?
warming when, you know, there's cold weather about. But I've actually went through the record books. I looked through the polling and I said, okay, when was the last time that we had a below average winter in terms of temperature, right, where it was colder than average? Was there any shift in viewpoints about global warming? It turns out there isn't. People do not necessarily associate what happens in the cold winter months. Yeah, it's cold. That doesn't make them dismiss the idea of global warming, even if President Trump.
These guys are crazy, man. We're going to go ahead and end the video there. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this in the comment section below. Obviously, I think global warming is a thing. With that being said, right, they're saying that it's 2/3 of the U.S. population are facing a monster winter storm. So with that being said, they're also tying it into the fact that global warming is playing a huge part in this, right? So they're saying the snow and ice will stretch over 2,000 miles from Texas to New England. They also mentioned something along the lines of climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. So they're attributing it, right, to human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Now, you'd be delusional to sit here and talk about the fact that there hasn't been any atmospheric change or atmospheric extreme, so to speak, nothing that's the norm. I would say in the latter or in the past, excuse me, there tended to be repeat patterns. You were able to kind of see, okay, this is what it's going to be. Whereas as we're moving on, you know, as things are advancing, some things are unpredictable. We're seeing extremes that we haven't experienced before. What do you attribute that to? There's some atmospheric climatic change. So you'd be a dummy to not realize that. You know what I'm. So with that being said, prayers out to the families. Prayers out to those who have to face this, have to fight through this. You know, I pray that y'all aren't losing power. That power doesn't go out. That y'all have enough resources, food to thug it out through the storm. So peace, love, prosperity. God bless y'all, man. We'll see y'all in the next video.